Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we are playing a private game. It is a 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 40, 80 game. Just kidding. It's a 1, 2, 5 game technically, but the $80 straddle is on at one point by yours truly. It's a wild game to say the least. Let's get into the hands. All right, within the first 10 minutes of sitting down, we finally pick up our first hand, and it is pocket aces. We're on the button, and Tyler opens a 15 from the cutoff. I'm going to put in a 3-bet here to $50. Folds over to Sham in the big blind, and he puts in the 4-bet to $150. You love to see that. Tyler folds, actions back on me. Now, Sham's a tight, aggressive player, but he is capable of 4-betting me light since I 3-bet on the button. However, I don't want to 5-bet because, again, Sham's too good and knows that that's always aces or kings from me. So I just put in the call in position, and we are heads up to a flop. It comes 6, 6, ace. Wrap it up, folks. This one's going to us unless he somehow has pocket sixes, but, I mean, come on now. Anyways, Sham checks, and I have this board locked up, so I check it back. Off to a turn to see 3 of spades. Sham checks again, and it feels like he has jacks through kings here, so I'm going to put out a small bet for a third the size of the pot. I bet $100, and he pretty quickly puts in the call. We're off to a river. It's the 9 of spades. Now, there's only 515 in the pot, and there's $229 in my stack, so that is going in the middle. I put it all in, and he pretty quickly calls with pocket kings, so sick cooler to start the session. Seems like it would have got in pre-flop if I 5-bet, but who knows? Sham's pretty good. He probably could have found a fold. Anyways, happy to double up to start this session. On to the next hand. Next one, we look down at pocket aces once again. What is going on? We're in the cutoff this time, and it folds to me. I'm going to open it up to $20, and only the $5 blind puts in the call. So we're going heads up once again to a flop. It comes queen, 8, 8, rainbow. He checks, and I should be betting here for the most part, but I want it to look like I have ace, king, or a weak pocket pair, so I'd check it back. We're off to the turn. It's the jack of diamonds. I do like this card if he has a hand like queen jack, king queen, jack king. Y'all get the point. He should have no problem holding on for another bet or a raise. So when he bets out $15, I'm going to put in a raise here. I bump it up to $55, and he folds. Easy game. Moving along. All right, so I've only shown you guys winning hands, but I have lost just about every single bomb pot we have played up until this point, so my stack has dwindled down to $265. And at this moment, the $10 straddle is on, and the $20 straddle is on, and somehow Tyler's lost his mind and puts on the $40 straddle. And obviously, they talked me into putting on the $80 straddle, which basically means I'm going all in if anyone calls or raises pre-flop. And that's what happens. It gets all the way over to the $10 straddle, and he jams covering me. The other players fold, and I look down at the 6-3 offsuit. I'm going to flick in the call. Looks like a premium in the $80 straddle. He shows king, queen, and I will let y'all see what happens next.
That was probably me. That was definitely me. Two boards.
Oh, that's you. You think queen?
Oh, gosh.
Oops.
All right, so one bullet down. We are on to the next bullet, and we look down at pocket 10s on the button. Now, the net game is on for $25 a person, so if you lose, you pay out $200 in total. Keep that in mind. Anyways, under the gun and the cutoff, limp for $5, and I raise it up to $35. Actions on Sham in the big blind now, and he 3-bets to $110. Folds all the way back to me, and I do consider jamming with the net game being on, but I think at best we're flipping. So I think better of it and decide to just call in position. We are heads up to a flop. It comes king, king, 5, 2 hearts, 1 diamond. Sham bets out for $30. To be honest, I don't know what to make of this. It could be an ace high hand. It could be a hand containing the king that wants me to raise. I'm not sure, so I just call. We're off to a turn. It is the 7 of spades, and now Sham checks, and I think he'd keep betting if he had a king, so we might have the best hand here, but he can still have jacks, queens, and aces, so rather than betting this turn, I decided to check it back. Might be a bit of a mistake on my end. Anyways, we're off to a river. It's the queen of hearts. Pretty horrible. One of the obvious hands we were beating was ace queen, and now we are not. So when Sham checks, I check it back, and he shows ace queen, so maybe I should have bet the turn. I think a small bet on the turn could have got him to fold, and if he ended up jamming, somehow I could have just happily folded my hand. Instead, we lose a $290 pot, and we actually end up losing the net game for $200, so that's pretty fun. All right, I'm not tilted. I promise. Well, maybe a little bit. Anyways, the net game is back on, and this time we look down to ace-9 offsuit in the cutoff. +1 limps, +2 raises to $25. I call in the cutoff, and it folds back to the +1 who sticks in the call, so we're 3 ways to a flop. It comes 10, 10, 9, 2 diamonds, +1 checks, and now the original raiser bets $25. A pair, well, 2 pair technically, with a backdoor nut flush draw. Yeah, I'm sticking in the call, and the +1 fold. So we're heads up to a turn. It comes the jack of clubs, +2 bets $35, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me unless he's trying to induce a raise maybe. I don't know, but I do know that this jack is much better for me than him. I can have all the straights, I can have all the full houses, although he can have pocket jacks. Anyways, I think this card is a lot better for me than him. So I raise it up to $100 to make it look like I have a boat or a straight, and he pretty quickly calls. So now we're probably beat until the river is the 9 of hearts. You'd love to see that. +2 checks, and I'm just going to jam here and hope he calls me light. So that's what I do, and he tanks, but finds the fold with pocket kings. So great read by us on the turn. Great river by us. It's better to be lucky than good. Never forget that. On to the next hand. All right, we are clawing our way back out of this hole, and in this one, we look down at ace-6 suited in the club variety. We're in the hijack and +2. It was actually a Fortnite legend and goes by Reet. Opens to $15, and I call in the hijack, and so does the button. So we're 3 ways to a flop. Comes 3 ace king rainbow with the club out there. So we have ourselves top pair and a backdoor nut flush draw, and when Reet c-bets $20, I am going to stick in the call, and the button folds. So we're heads up to a turn. It's another ace. Pretty good card, obviously, and now Reet decides to check. And I feel like we have him crushed here, so in order to not scare him off and give him a chance to bluff, which, trust me, he is known for doing, I decided to check this one back. We're off to a river. It's the queen of clubs. Rechecks again, and now we have to get some value. So I bet out for $65, and now something weird happens. Reet jams all in for my remaining $409, and although this seems like a snap call, I only beat a bluff. But to be honest, his line makes no sense unless he specifically has Jack 10 or a full house and somehow put me on a weak ace, which I highly doubt. So after thinking for a little bit, I do flick in the call, and he mucks. So Reet can't beat us at poker or Fortnite, I guess. So yeah, that's actually an official challenge. 1v1 me, Reet. Anytime, anywhere, any day. On to the next hand. All right, this next one is a pretty fun one, just not for me. We are in under the gun with ace-king suited in the diamond variety. The nit game is back on, and only 2 players have their buttons. So I open it up to $20, and I am immediately 3-bet by the +2 player to $250. Yep, $250, and he just so happens to have that nit button. So when it folds back to me, I think this is a slam dunk jam. So I jam for $620 total, and he snaps it off with pocket kings. And I will let y'all see what happens.
Yeah, pair, yeah. Still no pair 10. Yeah, 10. Ship it to him. Ship it. Ship it. Okay.
All right, so we were up, then we were stuck, then we were even, now we're stuck, and now we look down at king queen offsuit. In the $5 blind, the cutoff small blind and big blind all limp, and I bump it up to $25. And they all call, of course. I probably could have made it $200. They would have done the same. Anyways, flop comes deuce, queen, deuce. So we flop ourselves top pair. It checks to me. I'm going to bet out for $25. Folds over to Tyler in the big blind, and he calls. And yes, he does indeed have a yellow nit button. Keep that in mind. We're off to a turn. Is the 4 of clubs. Tyler checks, and I think we have him crushed here unless he somehow has a deuce. So I check it back, hoping he'll overvalue a worse hand on the river or call me light. So the river comes the 10 of spades, and now Tyler bets out for $15 into $150, and now it's time to raise. My line shouldn't make a whole lot of sense, so I bump it up to $75, and in hindsight, I think I like an overbet, but I just didn't want him to fold, to be honest, and he does not. He calls with the worst queen, and we scoop. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the last hand of the session, and we look down at 3-8 of clubs in the $5 blind, under the gun, hijack, button, and big blind all limp, and I check my option. We're off to a flop. It comes 8-6-3 rainbow. That's right, top and bottom pair with 8-3 of clubs. Big blind checks, and I have plans to check raise this flop, although I think this flop is going to check around most of the time, so in hindsight, I think I like a bet. Anyways, I checked, and thankfully the hijack comes to the rescue and bets $20. bucks. The button calls, and now it folds all the way back to me. Time to put in a raise. I raise it up to $75. And once again, this is another mistake on my end. This game is playing big and no one's folding, so I think I should be raising to 100 or even 125 here just because of the nature of the game. But I didn't, and the hijack folds and the button calls. So we're heads up to a turn. It's the 10 of hearts, not my favorite card. The obvious straight draw, and 9-7 completes. And if he has a hand like 10-8 suited, we are behind. So I decided to check this turn, and my opponent bets $150. I think you can go either way here between a call or a fold, but I feel like our hand is a bit too strong to fold right now. So I flick in the call. We're off to a horrendous river. It's the 10 of diamonds, so we get counterfeit, and when I check, my opponent bombs it for $800. Yikes. I don't think he's ever bluffing here, to be honest. He just sat down. He appears to be a pretty tight player, and I can't think of any bluffs besides 7-5 for a missed straight draw. So after tanking for a while, I do decide to fold, and he never shows, so we don't really know if it was the right fold, but I'm pretty sure we made the right fold. Or we just got bluffed out of our shoes. I don't know. All right, so obviously that session didn't go as we wanted. We started up like $800, and then we were down a buy-in, and then we were down 2 buy-ins, and then we clawed our way back, and when it was all said and done, I can't recall the exact amount that we lost, because that session was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I can tell you it was at least 1 or 2 buy-ins, or maybe a little bit more. It wasn't good. Was not good, but nonetheless, we got some good hands out of it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like, comment, share, and subscribe button. Until next time, good luck at your local tables, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.